Sounds forced.
And we have music. I'm just excited that we have music.
What an accomplishment.
Yup. This is Ari, the Data Queen, joined by analyst Matt Muscardi and Hazelnut Rawlins.
Yay.
Come on, you guys. It's a weekly wrap-up.
I promised I was going to get hazelnut coffee for the Friday show. I'm a liar. I haven't bought it. I don't do it.
You are a liar.
I know.
You and investors.
I don't know what that
boy.
means.
On today's weekly wrap-up, AGM outcomes, a company's use of AI that doesn't sound bad. That's pretty good. That's probably my section, right? And a check-in with DeSantis from Florida.
No,
and more.
I don't want
What
to
are we
check
doing
in
that
with
for?
DeSantis.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't talked about him in a while,
Good
and I
reason.
feel like we did a lot. So
Yeah, he's.
I saw his name while I was scrolling, and I was like, I wonder what's going on there.
Old pudding fingers, meatball run.
which is the grossest thing to be associated with. I don't know why we don't call them pudding fingers.
Ew. All right, but let's get started with story of the week.
Yeah. Oh, God, is this going to be the most depressing week of our?
Okay, in honor of Matt,
weeks.
I know Matt
I
wants
feel
to
a lot of bias here.
I know Matt wants to
I'm
talk
angry
about
this
it.
morning.
This is supposed to be my fourth story of the week, but I'm going to start with this one because I think Matt wants to talk about it. This is in honor of today's AGM annual meeting at Boeing, which was held at 11 o'clock, which we should have live streamed, but we didn't. We should have. But in honor of that meeting, I didn't think we'd have results in for this show, but this is why Matt is so depressing.
This is literally breaking news. It's like 7 minutes ago.
The breaking news is that I'm going to read you a few headlines that I gathered about Boeing just this week. And I'm going to ask you, how do you think shareholders voted? Really,
we're going to be really surprised by the answer.
And the main things up for vote really were should Dave Calhoun be reelected to the board, and should he get a pay rise along with the other board? Okay, here are just a few headlines I picked from just this week. The Department of Justice says Boeing faces criminal charge for violating deal over 737 MAX crashes. Union offering Boeing representatives training on U.S. whistleblower laws because the whistleblowers are being punished at Boeing for whistleblowing. Fallout from Alaska Airlines blowout continues as key Boeing supplier is laying off about 500 workers. Boeing's problems are extremely annoying, according to the CEO of Lufthansa.
Extremely annoying?
Boeing's Starliner spacecraft has a risk of disaster and should be grounded, NASA contractor says. And then unions and lawmakers protest Boeing because they're locking out firefighters. So that's just from this week. So how do you think the meeting went? Anyone want to weigh in? What's your prediction?
I think investors are incredibly rational. It has been, Calhoun joined the board in like 2009, something like that. He's been there for 15 plus years. He clearly demonstrated he's not good at his job in that period. It's been the worst period for safety, for accidents in the company's history. I mean, Boeing had to get bailed out. They're so badly managed. He was the chair of the board when the planes fell out of the sky.
He's been a part of every part of this process. He's been a director, he's been a chair, he's been
single
CEO.
decision he's been a part of.
Crazy.
I think investors are looking at this and saying, you had a good run, but you're retiring anyway. It's time to step off this board.
Run.
You had a run. You had a disastrous
run at some point.
You had an infamous run.
You know what?
Find the buzzer button and hit it.
There's no way that you should be paid and or be on this board anymore.
You're wrong.
Right? Am I right? Am I totally correct?
No. So the results are not in, but the headline suggests that Calhoun has been reelected. I don't know about the other directors. I don't know why. And say on pay, his pay raise up to what is it up to? Like $34 million?
He got a 40-something% increase on pay year over year.
Shareholders
from last year.
I thought for sure that they would at least reject that. Even that passed.
But like one of his pay caveats from last year was that he launches the Starliner and that like more accidents don't happen. The door plug popped out, and the Starliner's been delayed indefinitely because of it's.
You mean the one that a NASA contractor said has a risk of a disaster, should be grounded?
A risk of disaster. That's what we want. And yet, still, not only did he get an increase in pay, and investors approved it, but he has a golden exit package.
Oh yeah, of course.
That is worth $45 million. And $5 million of which instant vests when he leaves. So he gets $5 million just for leaving us with this wreck.
And let me add 2 more parts to that. He got to resign on his own. He wasn't even forced out. He wasn't fired.
Yeah, that's correct.
He gets to pick the departure date. He's just hanging around for as long as he feels like it. Because who else would you want in charge of succession planning at this company than Dave Calhoun? Wouldn't you want him to handpick the next CEO?
It actually seems as though Steve Mollenkopf, who's the acting chair, he's the chair now, was surveying Boeing customers, asking them who they thought should be the CEO. That's how desperate they are. They're like, "Excuse me, you buy some stuff for us. Do you have any opinions on who might be good at this job? We have no idea."
Tell us what to do so that we are not on the headlines anymore.
What about?
Okay?
I have an idea. What about FDR? Is he still alive? He was good.
I think he was pretty good, actually.
Okay,
I think Elon Musk's only got 5 CEO roles. Maybe he could do this too.
It's the first story of the week. Second story of the week. OpenAI's chief scientist Ilya Sutskever is leaving the company. Now remember that this was the guy who was instrumental, along with like 2 or 3 female board directors, for ousting Sam Altman back in the last fall, right? I think it was last fall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because really, he was basically concerned about the potential harm that AI was going to cause to the world, right? I mean,
let's say the women who were on the board who voted against Altman
they're fired.
One of whom was an AI ethicist.
Yeah, they're gone.
And Sutskever's role inside of OpenAI was alignment with the mission, like to make sure the AI did not harm humanity.
To make sure AI,
but go on.
To make sure AI was good for humanity. And this is why this was the existential battle, the existential crisis. Ilya, I don't know if I believe this, but according to reports, a few days later after talking to his wife, he kind of broke down and changed his mind and apologized, thereby, I suppose, opening the door for Sam Altman to return. But now he's gone. I mean, this was the barrier to destroying humanity, I guess, right? Because Sam now is completely unfettered. I don't know. This doesn't sound good to me. And on top of it, the other big story having to do with OpenAI this week was that OpenAI is going to use Reddit content to train its ChatGPT. Reddit of all places,
Who just went public?
to scrape humanity.
Who just went public.
I mean, let's just say there's no racist content.
It's incredible. It's incredible that this is okay. I really, I would rather they use the content from like a 4th grade class in New Hampshire. I mean,
I love that idea.
This is nuts. For anyone who spent time on Reddit, it's a nuts idea, and we need Ilya back now.
Look, I think you're glancing over like the core part of this story to me, which is that after Sutskever was part of ousting Altman, he didn't work again at OpenAI.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. So what, they sidelined him immediately? Is that what happened?
Apparently, there's a quote saying we tried to find like a role for him here, but we're unsuccessful. There's some quote
the genius behind the whole operation.
The man who basically created this thing.
This is the guy who created it. It's not Sam Altman.
He knows the pitfalls of it. Altman was the money, and this guy was the brains. And the indications are he basically has not had a role inside it, and they've just been fighting. And I think it's could it be more petty? I got all this money. You ousted me. I thought we were friends. I mean, what is this? We're talking about an existential threat to humanity, and it's petulance.
What did they promise him to have him come back in the first place to stop the fight? Like, why? I wonder what happened. Right? I mean, we'll find out one day in a David Fincher movie. I'm sure.
HBO.
Yeah.
An HBO documentary.
I'm pretty sure it had to do less with Altman and more to do with the employees. I think he got he
just got
friends of
tweets,
his there
right? He didn't
were
know what to
like,
do.
"What are you
He
doing? Why are
panicked.
you abandoning us?" And I think like he felt a tremendous amount of guilt. But that's all
if you
speculation.
leave, this could impact Sam's bank account. He might not be able to buy his 7th Hawaiian property. So you should probably. All right, that's my second story of the week.
I hate all these.
Third story of the week. Back to annual meetings. Two big. Maybe this will cheer you up, Matt. Two big say on pay votes released. First at 3M. Voters rejected pay at 3M. 55% said no. Although this part might depress you. The pay chair, James Fitterling, 95% yes. I mean, so the guy who chairs the committee.
Are they confused?
Right. The architect behind pay, ostensibly at 3M, the shareholders said, "We love you, but the pay plan you created sucks." I don't.
It would literally
Try
be like,
again.
It would be like if the person in charge of getting a company's like healthcare plan got the worst healthcare plan and every employee rejected it, but they still got a 99% approval rating from the employees.
Weird.
This is bananas.
Only at the board level.
The nuance here is that he is actually stepping down from being paid chair. He's going to become the lead director at 3M. So that's what's going on at 3M. And how about this one? At BlackRock, of all
better?
places.
Wait a minute. Is that better?
I don't know.
Independent director.
I don't know what to say. I mean, maybe it's a moral victory that he's not the pay chair anymore for somebody. I don't know.
I forgot capitalism was about moral victories.
Well, let's see how
I
he
forgot.
handles this pay vote, right? Because he's really going to be one of the lead people in charge of reacting to the non-binding pay vote. The other big news, speaking of non-binding, is at BlackRock. I think Ari, you want to talk about this later.
Yeah, I did
but
pick
say
this
on
one.
pay at BlackRock, 42% against. That's a huge number to me. That's a massive story to me.
That's big-ish, I suppose.
42%
He still got paid.
is basically a majority. Let's be real. I mean,
Who's voting against him anyway? What are they voting against him for? Saying ESG stuff 2 years ago?
Wasn't
like
both ISS and Glass Lewis? I think that
Yeah, but
suggested
like
a vote against pay. Yeah,
they're
They
voting
did.
against him for what? Like now it's like they're saying pay is misaligned. He's been
Wait,
paid
Matt.
the whole time.
Matt. So when they vote for them, you're upset. When they vote against them, you're upset. Where
He's
do
in
you?
a mood right now.
What do you
I want-
need? What do you need out of this
What I
process?
want is a reason that makes sense.
Well,
if
I'm with
you're
you.
gonna
I'm
vote
with you.
for
We
him
can
for
give
the
you
prior
reasons.
5
We
years,
have the data for the reasons.
That's my point. My point is all of these votes seem to be absent
I
a
mean,
reason.
I could tell you the reason that they said.
I mean, if Calhoun is getting a
Well,
pay
Ari, yes,
raise
do that
this year,
You're covering this, Ari. Do that. Tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
we'll wait for
do you
Ari's
want to
segment.
wait for your story?
Yeah,
I'll
let's
do
wait.
it right now.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
let's
You're
wait,
the
let's
host. Yeah, you tell us. Go ahead.
I'll wait. Go on.
There it is.
I'm confused. How about this? You know what I realized, Matt? We did the proxy countdown yesterday. We covered big three oil companies: Exxon, Chevron, Shell. The Shell, where's Shell? It's UK, right? Is it?
UK, yeah.
Their CEO made just under $10 million. So that's my new rule for everyone. If the CEO makes over $10 million, just vote against pay. How about that for easy? How about that? Okay. Fourth story of the week.
That's
yeah.
I feel like that's easy enough for ISS to comprehend.
Right.
ISS. Are you listening?
There's your
There's a
trigger,
lot. I like
ISS.
that.
No, maybe, perhaps.
yeah, whoops. That's the wrong sound effect.
Fourth story of the week. This was sent in from Jesse, the Money Whisperer.
Ooh.
But this is too good of a story to pass up. Here's the headline: there are too many dicks in the boardroom. Okay, this story absolutely blows my mind. This is a publicly traded company, right? In the world where we get pushback for even suggesting that you vote against a director, that's mean. But this publicly traded company called E.L.F. Beauty put out a whole report. They have a part of their website dedicated to it, basically saying that there are too many directors named Dick, Richard, Rick, and Dick on public
that's correct.
boards, right? But here's the part that I really love. Here's the part that just absolutely double blows my mind. Not only that they're doing it in the first place, but they have a dick on their board.
That's right.
And they
Yeah,
don't
they
even
do.
but they don't even tell you.
so
They don't
funny.
they don't really even disclose that.
No, I think it's somewhere in there like discussion
I looked.
of too many dicks.
Okay, well then I applaud them for actually admitting to it. So the story here is that 6 out of their 9 board members are women, which is amazing. But if you look at our data, there was a concern here. And that is that those women don't have a ton of influence because
no, they don't.
Because unfortunately, their CEO Tarang Amin, he's also the chair, which is completely unnecessary. And he controls 4% of shares, which is a lot for a publicly traded company in the U.S. for the CEO to have that much as shares. So his influence is pretty high at that company.
You know, this is the worst part about it because it's a great meme. It's a stellar
them. It's
point,
wonderful.
and you want to applaud them, and then you look at them and you're like, oh, why can't you just don't make the CEO the chair, and why can't you do the other governance things? So it's a meme, and then it vaguely undercuts itself.
Except
when you look
that
at the rest of the
I
data.
will say that they
have a dick on the board. Come on,
That's
the dick
so
on the
funny.
board is funny. But I will say this.
At first, I thought that they didn't realize that they had a dick on the board.
That would have been funny by
But
itself.
I'm sure they do.
I will say this about them, though. Their leadership team, majority women, people of color are represented on the
Everywhere,
at management on the board. So this company is backing a lot of it up. Maybe it's just it's just funny they have a dick on the board. Maybe it's just a little
they did it for
little
laughs and giggles.
postmodern humor there. You know,
Hey man, we're talking about E.L.F. beauty. How often
I love
would
it.
we have talked about it?
So those are my
anyway?
4 stories.
All right, so the 4 stories are Ilya Sutskever leaving, even though he kind of sort of left anyway, votes against pay, too many dicks in the boardroom, and Boeing's AGM has a last.
Yeah.
I'm going to go first.
Oh yes.
I know there's one right answer here,
I
and
wanna
that's
hear
the
this.
OpenAI story.
Ooh.
Okay.
Because,
Yeah.
for people that thought that anyone with any sort of concern or ethic questions could say something, that could have said, oh, but look, the chief scientist that, tried to oust Sam Altman is still there. Even though he wasn't doing anything, now they don't even have that. It's just so clear.
Who were those
It sent
people?
a very clear message.
Do those
Probably
people
Microsoft.
exist?
The only problem really is that OpenAI is not a publicly traded company, so unfortunately we can't show to investors that Sam Altman controls 90% of board influence. But
So I'm going to go with Boeing's AGM is what I'm going to go with. Mostly because
you're
the
both
buzzer
wrong.
agrees with me. It's almost like I control it.
Who is they?
Only because, look, the reality here is this blew up my morning because I cannot figure.
It's very real.
There is no more logic. The way these votes work, there's no one who can look on paper at anything that Boeing has delivered in the last decade and said, this is cool. There's no analysis that supports this.
Well,
there's no thinking that supports
let's
this.
not-
Our data definitely doesn't support it. And I would have voted out the entire board. They're basically all connected to one another. And somehow, this is a guy this is the ultimate fail up. He just got $45 million plus a 40% pay raise to fail.
And
he's a failure.
Let's not forget where the story started. The story did not start with a tone-deaf marketing campaign that they had to apologize for, right? This started with the crashing two jets,
Yeah.
two 737
Death.
MAX crashes, almost
Right.
400 deaths. I mean, this is not a story for the faint-hearted. I thought if there was ever a case where I actually was hoping it would happen at Norfolk Southern, but I thought if there's ever a moment where U.S. investors would get their priorities straight and get their heads out of their asses and realize that CEOs do not need to be on the boards that provide oversight of themselves. I thought this was the instance, right? He's already leaving the company.
He's retiring.
So
he's leaving.
So you're not going to offend him so much that he's not going to still play golf with you. He's going to play golf with you. People love golf, and they're not going to say no to your
but
tea time.
the worst part about it to me is if there was someone sitting where the door plug came out, that seat was empty on that flight. If there was someone sitting in that seat who got sucked out of the airplane, then he might have gotten voted out. Is that what it takes? You literally need someone to get sucked out of a plane because of poor safety in order to vote against them. And it's not just him. You have a board full of people who have been there and have not overseen this. You have an executive team who hasn't overseen this, and you know where this is going next, which is a female CEO to clean up his shit.
Let's not
That's
forget.
exactly where it's going.
Let's not forget, in the meantime, 2 whistleblowers are dead, which is just a mystery beyond a mystery on this one. And on top of that,
You always try to bring that up.
on top of that, the unions are coming in to educate workers about whistleblowing because the whistleblowers are complaining that they're getting punished by Boeing for coming out. So
For whistleblowing.
this is the background going on while Calhoun remains in power and gets to leave when he feels like it, and he's getting a raise. So the whole thing.
Forget
come on,
humanity.
stop it.
We're not asking for like
Stop
a
it.
moral vote here.
Stop
There
it.
is literally
Stop.
zero justification for this vote, and yet
Sad.
it means
It's a
that
sad
there's
one.
not a single
All right, well-
investor in the investment universe who's doing due diligence.
I was-
Damien, AI's coming for you.
I
The
was gonna
last
vote-
person.
Wait, say it again.
The last person that could have helped OpenAI has left. What do you think?
Oh, so you're
She's
trying to sway me.
convince you. Yeah.
Look, I would vote for OpenAI, but they're not publicly traded. I really want to vote for Too Many Dicks, but you two are boring losers. So I don't know if I have a choice here. I guess I have to.
That's
Well,
right. Just say it.
You know, they're
Just say
both
it.
they're both
Just
compelling.
send it.
They're both compelling board stories. I mean, the OpenAI board story is really one of the most instructive that we've come across. Right? I mean, it speaks to what we do here
it's
as
the
being.
next Boeing.
But it speaks to what we do here as being incredibly important, right? Because beyond normal ideas of diversity, which I'm also, which is also important, having like women on the board, people of color. The ousting of the woman that you pointed out, who was an AI ethicist, it's a skills crisis. I don't know what you call it, right? It's like
That is true.
right. I mean, there is absolutely no grounds to fire a person like that. But anyway, I don't really know how to vote
All right,
here.
what's your vote?
I'll just vote for Boeing.
Yeah.
Soulless.
That's
Soulless.
right.
So let's
That's-
vote. Let's move on. I don't want to talk about
That's
anymore.
the correct win.
Let's just move on.
All right. Well, let me try
Boeing
to cheer
finally won at
everyone
something.
up. Guys, just remember, if you feel neutral about this, that's a positive. Okay?
Wait, what?
No, that's not a positive.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Different Sam. Sam's Club
Different Sam, I like
announces
it. Yeah.
it will stop checking receipts and start using AI at exits.
Wait a
That's
minute.
good?
Why on earth is this good?
This
How?
is wonderful.
Wait,
Not
wait,
even
wait.
Neutral.
First of all, I've never been to a Sam's Club or a box, one of those things in my life.
You've never
Every
been to
time,
Costco.
so you have to. I've never been to Costco. So every time you leave, they look at
And no receipt.
everything in your cart. Everything.
No,
They eye your receipt.
They eye it. They
and
eye
then
your
they
race. They eye the way you're
eye-
dressed. They eye your hair length.
I have
They eye
never
your
seen
cart.
them pull anybody over, so I
Dude.
don't know.
Okay.
You haven't been to Costco in a while. The line backs up. You're already paid. You're trying to
So
get
why
to your
is
car,
this good?
and you have to wait in line.
Why is this good? Or yeah.
Because now you can just walk out, and it's great.
You're telling it to a guy who's never been to a Sam's Club or Costco. So why do I care? I don't care.
Well, do you care about standing in lines to pay for your stuff?
I live in Maine. Nobody lives in Maine. So what do I care? I don't know.
Are you happy to hear that a tool's being used for a way that's not destroying
No.
I
humanity?
just can't
I don't
wait
care.
for the AI to automatically stop every black person.
Yeah, I was
that
gonna
walks
say,
out.
is
Like,
it?
That's,
Are we
It's
7?
not looking at the people. It's looking at the
Sure.
cart.
Ari, we're
Yeah,
7
sure.
months away
Looking
from that
at the
AI
cart.
thing
Sure it is.
arresting someone for like
You know,
not
I thought
follow-
this too, but you can't bring me down. It's just
Okay.
looking at the cart.
That's a terrible one. It's terrible.
This is the most
Terrible.
dystopian
Horrible.
goodliest of the week I've
This
ever.
is
What
so
else?
good. All right.
Keep going.
42% of shareholders vote against BlackRock CEO.
I can applaud
Larry
that.
Fink's
All right,
pay.
all right. That's okay. Now, what was the reason?
The reason given by ISS to advise voting against is because Larry Fink's pay was higher than the median.
But then stop it. So that they should be recommending votes against
I
almost
agree,
half of
and
companies.
maybe
I mean,
they
what are we doing? ISS, you suck at your job.
Like, how funny is that?
That is
That's pretty funny.
All right. No, what's goodliest about it is that is
hilarious.
comedy.
ISS
That is
sucks.
comedy gold. That is like they would have to say vote against half of. They know that, right?
Can I make a plea? I want to make a plea to our listener, Steve or Judy or whatever our listener's name is.
Sigrid.
If you're contracted with ISS and have any doubts, put it all in our hands. We will figure out your voting for you. And you know what? I promise you right here that whatever price that we give you, it's going to be lower than what ISS charges you. Okay.
Gosh.
And we will give you reasons.
What Damien just said is
we will give you
good news.
reasons for every vote that you can tell your clients that don't involve the word perhaps or maybe. Okay.
All right. So far,
shareholders voted against a thing, and that's what we
No.
advocate for.
No. Okay. Well, 42% of them did. You're right. Not a majority.
Yeah. That's
okay.
a lot.
Fine. You're
That's
right.
a lot. And I hadn't
like
come
that.
across the 3M story yet.
I like
and then
it.
I found out why ISS recommended this.
I love it.
So here we are.
the
And
median
lastly,
voted.
I know this will make everybody happy. Smartphones can now last 7 years.
What do you talk? What does that even mean? What does that
Oh,
mean?
you don't know this?
Tell
you
me.
don't know
Tell
this.
me. No.
Well, you know that your smartphone had an expiration date, right? Like
I suppose
Auto brick.
infamously.
the expiration date
only-
is that Verizon kind of forces me to get a new one because the new one's free.
Sure. Not just phone carriers, but the phone makers, Google, Android, iPhone, they only really last 3 years, or they used to only last 3 years, because they would then send updates that your phone could no longer update, so your
Sure,
phone would
sure.
stop working,
Yep.
and you have to get a new one. But because of FTC and right to repair laws, this is no longer going to happen, and now you can have your phone for 7
All right.
whole years.
Let me ask you this: will Wordle
That's a
still
second
work?
grader.
Is the Wordle going to work when I wake up?
No.
Okay, then
It wouldn't have, but
Okay.
now
Now it will.
Well,
Now
okay,
it
then
will.
then this is great.
This is wonderful. Thank
Okay.
you.
Now-
This is good.
Ari,
right,
this is not a great week for you, Ari.
Here's your 3 options. Sam's Club
I
scanning
don't want
your
a
bags
smartphone.
with AI.
I don't need a smartphone. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, but do you have one? I know you do. 'cause your
Unfortunately, I
texts
do.
are blue.
Yes, I do.
Because I wouldn't text you if our texts
Okay,
were
leave me
green.
alone. We text on Slack. We don't even text on phones. So shut up.
ISS says more than median pay is now a vote against. And smartphones actually last
These are terrible, Matt. I'm saying right now, whatever you vote for, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna parrot you because I don't care. So you vote.
You know what? Like,
can't believe you.
I'm slightly torn between the phones lasting.
Oh, stop it.
And ISS. Well, I would
Right
only
to repair
vote,
laws. You love that, Damien.
I do like
you love
that. Yeah, I like that.
I would only vote for the ISS one for the sheer
funny.
comedy.
Come on, that's a good
I mean,
one.
like, that is the most ridiculous
I like that
reason
one.
I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's great.
median.
So
I would
They're
encourage
like,
I'm
what
gonna
are we,
go with
they're
that.
like, guys,
I'm going
what
with
are
that.
what are we gonna say, guys? What are we gonna say? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, let's check to see if it's higher.
Wait,
Let's check.
well,
Let's check.
I mean,
oh,
we-
it is. Okay, that's it. That's the reason.
We know that we can't vote for him because he said all that stuff about ESG once upon a time. So we can't vote for him. We'll look like homers.
Oh, yeah.
We got to vote against him. Does anybody have a reason?
Oh, look, Glass Lewis already said that. So
Paul in the back. Yeah, he ate a lot of donuts this year. No, that's not going to work. I can't write that in my paper. This is so fucking
Oh,
stupid.
man.
By the
That's
way,
funny.
BlackRock, what's
That's
taking you
funny.
so long? It's been 2 days since the meeting. You can't put out your results. I'm refreshing my SEC. Come on. All right, that's
There's
your
a
vote.
lot of stuff going
ISS
on
is
at
your
BlackRock.
vote.
That's my vote.
Okay,
yeah.
I agree.
All right. Which brings us to me.
Oh
If it wasn't uplifting already.
no. I hope there's a
here
lot
we
of
go.
Sam's Club stories.
Here's the data for number one.
Ooh.
Number of employees laid off was 450.
Okay.
The average wage of those employees, according to ZipRecruiter, was estimated at around $16.24 an hour.
Bad
That's an
wage.
hourly wage.
Yeah.
That means the total wages saved were about $15.2 million. at
Over
that
the period
hourly rate.
of a year?
Over the period annually.
Annually, okay. 15 million.
With you add in health insurance and Social Security, assume it's about 20% more, so $18.2 million.
So
18.2
tops
million.
20 mil.
Tops 20 mil. We're going
call
to be real
it, call it
generous.
20, yeah.
Meanwhile, extra CEO pay just this year was
Extra
$10 million.
Extra
Extra.
CEO
This
pay.
is the raise.
Oh,
the
the raise.
CEO got a raise of
Okay.
$10 million.
It's a nice raise.
Here's the headline: Fallout from Alaska Airlines blowout continues as key Boeing supplier is laying off 450 workers because production has slowed.
This is a
So
criminal.
So what's happened is Dave Calhoun got a massive raise, but the supplier, who they're blaming everything on, not Boeing, had to lay off 450 workers
Damn.
to save money because production is slowed, because Boeing can't get its act together.
Damn.
Meanwhile, Dave Calhoun, this other headline Dave Calhoun needs the next Boeing CEO to be a success, and he has more than 45 million riding on it.
Yeah, money
That's
he
funny.
needs.
If the share price rises 37%, he gets an extra 45 million after he's gone.
Great.
How on earth is that even like a thing? Like if the share price goes up after you leave, you get paid as if you were here more than the new incoming CEO is likely to get paid for the year.
Honestly, it's a subject that I think the corporate governance, at least the corporate governance world, the ESG world in America, has just given up on. It's outrageous. Honestly, like
But the headlines are finally catching up.
I guess that you're right, Ari, but it is out of control. Investors should be voting against every pay package just automatically. It's out of control.
And that's who my asshole is. The investors again. Congratulations,
it's always the
investors.
investors.
You got to be the asshole again. I'm trying to find new assholes, but you keep coming.
Yeah.
The comp committee votes in 2023. Lynn Good was the chair, 93.7% for. Lynn Doty, 95.2. David Joyce, 94.5. Steve Mollenkampf, your new chair and succession planner, who spent the last few months asking customers who should be CEO. They voted 94.5% for him last year. The investors chose to pay Calhoun, and now the investors have doubled down and actually the advisory vote passed to pay him. Does no one care? No one cares about anything?
Matt,
you guys are fucking assholes.
I would care about this story, but why do you need to say 93.7%? Why can't you just say 94%? What's going on with you?
Because the rounding is so inaccurate. It's so 2020.
How dare you?
All right, here's your number 2 story. Here's the data. Texas generates 31% of its total energy.
Don't you mean 31.2% or something?
Solar, wind, and geothermal.
That sounds great.
That is amazing.
26% of all U.S. wind power was in Texas in 2023.
That is a windy state.
The entire country.
Wow.
That 26%
well, it's a big
of wind
state.
power was generated
big
there.
State.
Texas actually estimated in 2023 the total solar investment value was $22 billion in 2023.
Sounds like a lot.
And it brought in 10,000 industry-related jobs.
Wow, they're reaping the benefits.
Here's your headline. DeSantis signs Florida bill making climate change a lesser priority and bans offshore wind turbines.
Yeah. I mean, he's also, isn't he restricting the use of the term climate change, right?
You can't use the term climate change. He's basically banning renewables.
But where? Where
He's
can't you
getting rid
use the
of all
term? Where can't you use it? Just in schools or like where?
Any public
Anywhere.
documentation.
You can
public.
You can do that? In America, like you can really restrict the phrase.
The municipal. You know, someone in like the Department of the Environment in Florida is going to be writing like significant alterations to environmental conditions instead.
Where's Musk?
To avoid the term.
Where's Musk? Musk should be angry about it. He's a free speech
I wanna
absolutist,
ask
right? He should be pissed about
where the
this.
business roundtable is.
This is crazy.
I mean, this is bad for business.
Bad for everything.
That's the crazy part. If you're comparing DeSantis and Florida to Texas, which are the two hubs of the anti-ESG, pro-fossil fuel movements, Texas is making a tremendous amount of money on this.
Come on, Florida, be like Texas.
Matt, this has been my argument forever, right? In this realm, in this sphere, is that instead of whining like Darren Woods does constantly, just make some money off of it. This is America.
There's so much money.
There's so much of the U.S. population that is desperate for alternative fuel sources. Just make money off of us.
And here's the added bonus. You'll never get voted off the board, and your pay is always going to be approved.
You're going off rails. How dare you?
All right. Number 3, asshole. 73.2% of voting power
There's your
held
point
by
2.
2 people.
Okay.
Yeah, there's your point 2. I just added the numbers. 15.5 billion of share value held by 2 people.
Wow.
Okay.
Here's the headline. Spotify used this one word to justify 50% cut in royalties, music creator lawsuit alleges.
Great.
The word was bundled. So in 2018, artists, there was a Digital Artist Something Act that basically said that they have to get paid. you're an artist, you have to get paid on these platforms, and that was part of this
novel
act.
idea. Yeah.
Except what they left out of that act was bundled services. So if the services are bundled, you only get a portion of the bundle that's related to you. So what's happened here is Spotify's premium subscription, which is like they have other subscriptions for books and things like that on top. What they've done is they've created where it was premium and you get to listen to all their albums with no ads in it. They've now bundled, quote unquote, with 15 hours of audiobooks a month. And by doing that, because it's part of the bundle, they are saying your piece of that revenue is less.
Stop. Oh,
because
God.
it's now a bundle, and they're using that to justify a 50%
where is this lawsuit
cut in
being?
royalties.
Where is this lawsuit being? Where? What jurisdiction?
I don't know what the jurisdiction is here, but I do know.
Damn.
I did some populist math because I know Damien likes it so much.
I love it. I love it.
So Daniel Ek and Martin Lorenzen, that's the 70% of voting power.
Yep.
Stop saying Spotify. It's Daniel Ek and Martin Lorenzen.
Is it really
They're
both?
two human beings?
Is it really like both of them equally?
Ek owns something like 35%, and
Okay, so it's
Lorenzen-
pretty equal.
or 45%, and it's close to equal.
Is
It's close
Lorenzen
enough?
Is Lorenzen still? Is he an executive at the company still? I don't
No,
remember.
it's
Okay.
Ek's the CEO. So it's
Ek,
really
Ek
Ek
has
with
a
side
huge
of
amount
Lorenzen.
of power. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Second, if Ek and Lorenzen were the musicians that they're currently pillaging, based on the $15 billion valuation of their shares, they would need 3.1 trillion streams on their own platform to get paid that much.
Wow.
I did the populist math. The number one streamed song on the entire Spotify is Blinding Lights by The Weeknd.
Is that right?
And it was only streamed 4 billion times.
Oh,
In fact, the total of the top 100 songs streamed on Spotify is only 233 billion streams, which means Lorenzen and Ek have been given the equivalent worth of 13 times the top 100 songs on Earth and 13 times the 66 biggest artists on Earth, according to Spotify.
Wow.
Now, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Are those two morons worth nearly that much? Like, The Weeknd got $20 million for Blinding Lights, according to what the rough royalties are, which is 0.003 cents per stream at the low end and 0.005 cents per stream at the high end. They made roughly $20 million on that song. And that song was released in, 2019? So it's been out for 5 years, and they got $20 million over the course of 5 years. And they are cutting that royalty in half.
Didn't Taylor Swift try to fight them?
Honestly, I might have to go cancel. I use Spotify. I might have to cancel my Spotify. I don't know what I'm going to do.
But is there an alternative that doesn't also have onerous ownership?
It's the best one for
And how do
royalties
they
is Tidal.
justify? And how do they justify all of this? Because it doesn't take that much.
They justify it with greed, Ari. Right? I mean,
because they're the
is
biggest.
there any other justification?
It's just they're the biggest. So those are your three options.
That's sad.
You've got to choose between.
Title owned by artists? I don't remember. That's not the one that Jay-Z started? No, that's something else.
I don't know.
Okay.
Your assholes are investors again every fucking week.
Title is majority owned by Block, so it's a Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey. Oh, fun. We could pay that guy instead. I love this.
This world is nuts. Yeah.
DeSantis in Florida outlawing basically wind turbines and everything. And Spotify suing, basically cutting their artist pay.
Wow.
Well, I got a question about the wind power, the alternative energy. Is that who's the asshole there? DeSantis or Texas?
Florida? Yeah.
Or Florida's okay. All right.
Yeah. Texas is I'm celebrating Texas, which I would never
which you
ever
should
do.
Probably, yeah. What's your vote, Ari?
I'm so bothered by this bundle thing that
bundling
makes them
sucks.
already cut their meager royalties by
Ridiculous.
even more. But I mean, I don't know what investors can say about Dave Calhoun that justifies that. So they are the assholes this week.
Who is the investors at Boeing?
Yes.
You know what? I'm going to make it fun for Matt. I don't think that Daniel Ek and Martin Lorenzen get enough attention on them. I don't think that the dictators behind many of the most famous brands and apps that we rely on daily get nearly enough attention. So I'm going to agree that those two are giant assholes. So I'm going to vote for that one.
Well, you're wrong because it is the investors in
I
Boeing.
tried.
There's no fucking worse thing than what they're doing
I
right
agree with
now.
you, Damien, though.
Thank you.
Spotify, it's easy to look the other way just because, at the end of the year, we get our Wrapped.
Yeah, you're taking...
We're our priorities, people. I
You're
include
taking
myself
money
in this.
out of the artist's hands that you'd have no app without the artists. Without their creativity, you'd have nothing.
All right, cheer me up.
All
Let's
right,
go.
Headliniest.
Who's got one?
I got one. I'll go first. Mine made me giggle.
Okay.
Here's the headline.
Well,
Online
obviously.
job board Indeed is laying off 8% of its staff.
Oh.
Wait, why is that funny?
That's
Because it's like they're. I just imagine them immediately going to Indeed to look for jobs.
That is funny.
I mean,
so
like
sad.
it's so
Dark.
like circular. Like
Man.
I would love it if they then announced that we had 10,000 new users or whatever to Indeed.
and their share goes up. All right, I'm going to go with Elon Musk's Tesla is buying ads on Elon Musk's X to get Elon Musk's $55 billion pay
God.
package approved. And it's just a 3-time use of Elon
Yeah,
Musk.
that's
Come
it.
on.
That's
Well,
it.
let's-
Using
let's
his
not-
name 3 times is great.
And there's some nuance here that's important. First
Yep.
of all, Tesla famously does not pay for advertising, right? They don't pay for marketing. Second of all, Tesla, the board, they're making a decision. They're buying ads on a platform that is owned by their CEO.
That's so bad.
Ridiculous
That's so
conflict of
bad.
interest. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. Mine actually is also Tesla related. This is a article from the futurism.com based on a local article actually that I sent around to the office early this week. And here's the headline. Maine meaning from the state of Maine. Maine man alarmed when everybody mocks his Cybertruck, flips him off. So the story basically was about the fact there's 2 Cybertrucks owned in the state of Maine. And this guy just gets constant abuse. People spit on it, they scratch it, they give him the middle finger, the thumbs down. It's just constant abuse. So that's the story, yeah.
I love that.
People don't mess around in Maine.
I
No,
love
New
that.
England doesn't suffer fools. We don't like Cybertrucks and Elon Musk's up here in New England.
This one's hard. But I think the best headline, pure headline here, is Elon Musk's
Musk.
Tesla is buying ads on Elon
That's
Musk's
the
X to get Elon
Is that
Musk's.
the actual headline, Ari?
Yes, that is.
That
That is
Google
a
it.
great headline.
Is that
That was a
Business
copy
Insider?
paste.
Let's see him copy paste.
That was a copy paste.
Is that Business Insider?
I don't remember.
I don't know, but that's a great,
great-
headline.
yeah, I agree,
Using
I
the
agree.
triple is great.
Yeah, that's that someone was paying attention in 11th grade English. That's a great repetition there.
All right, winners this week.
Winners and losers. No losers.
No
winners
losers.
in production.
I guess-
There are no
Winners and
here.
losers. We should do losers. I like losers.
Everybody's a loser.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll go
everyone.
first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to go with Netflix because of this headline. Netflix and the NFL sign a 3-season deal. Netflix has finally broken into the live sports world, and they're starting out with the NFL. And, I mean, they're just not going to undo this.
Do you know that it was only a few years ago that the NFL was the last remaining, major sports
Yes.
franchise that you could watch the games for free with your rabbit ears, right? Like with your
Yeah.
Yes.
even the modern TVs, you can hook up like a $5 antenna and you can watch beautiful HD, live events.
Yep.
They are probably now spread onto 17 different horrible streaming platforms, right? Like it's just a joke. It's a joke.
I don't know. It's fine. Who cares?
It is a win for
but
Netflix.
I agree, Ari. I think
that's true.
it
It's a huge
seems to
win
be
for
that
Netflix.
it seems to be everything Netflix does is a win for Netflix. They just
Yeah.
always get it right. I mean,
Netflix is one share, one vote, right?
but doesn't
believe
Reed
it's one-
Hastings basically control most of those
I
shares?
think he controls most of the shares, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's one share, one vote. In which case,
I'd have to look that up.
Congrats to them. Like
All right.
he can
I can
own a
support
bunch of
that.
shares at one share, one vote. All right, Damien, what's yours?
Mine's simple. E.L.F. Beauty, the Too Many Dicks campaign. I love it. I love
It
it.
was a good campaign, and we did follow up on that campaign with dick powered boards. If
Yeah.
you missed that
Tuesday
it
show.
was on
Download Tuesday show. Listen, it's funny. Too Many Dicks. Yeah.
Yeah, dick powered boards, and the dick power to female power ratio was on that. My winner is actually Boeing quality control.
Oh, wait.
Here, So we had friend of the show, Doug Cha,
tongue-in-cheek winner, I think.
go to the Boeing. He went to the Boeing AGM. He was listening to it, and he sent me this tidbit. Quote: Boeing. This is the chair speaking.
This
Boeing
is true. You're not making this up.
Can and must. This is absolutely true. Can and must be every day. He's finishing a sentence.
Boeing can and must be every day.
I think he's talking about safety and stuff.
Weird.
This is the end of a sentence. It's like an ellipsis going into
Got
this.
it.
While we have made progress in strengthening our control, the quality control systems, the line went dead.
Oh,
and
God.
on the slide, they said, "We're sorry, we're having technical difficulties." Could there be a better thing?
Did they call in from one of their planes or something?
Oh,
It's so good they can't even do an AGM right.
That's terrible.
That's so.
And they
that's
still
bad.
managed to vote for the.
Wait, so who's the
Bad.
winner? Oh, Boeing quality control. Got it.
Yeah, definitely Boeing quality. All right,
Maybe
predictions.
can we give David Calhoun another raise? Can we give him a double raise?
No, he's laser focused on the technical
Laser
difficulties
focused,
right now.
yeah.
I thought that was a joke, Matt. I can't believe that's all.
That
real.
is real. That is a we got a screenshot
Ridiculous.
from Doug Shaw showing the slide that
that.
says we apologize for our technical difficulties.
Share that on LinkedIn later. It is
Unbelievable.
Funny. It's funny.
All right. Well, I do have a prediction, and it is also about Netflix
Oh, come
because
on.
Damien, you
Yeah.
said that Netflix is just winning at everything they do, except for the Tom Brady roast, which
Oh no!
I did watch, and I predict that they will never host
Why?
a live roast
I thought
again.
it seemed. I didn't finish it. It seemed like a successful event.
It was
no,
fine.
a lot
It
of
would have
people
been
watched it.
so much better if it was edited. Like you can't trust.
It was a live
athletes to
event.
go in there. Yeah, it was a
But
live
that's
event.
what was. I thought that's what was cool about it is that they
It
actually
just had
took that risk.
too many awkward, cringy moments that a nice roast like they
You
do
mean
in
like
Comedy
Gronk?
Central.
You mean all of Gronk? That's what you mean?
I don't know
Ben
if I'm going to
Affleck
agree with
came
you.
out
On,
and,
I
like,
don't know if I'm going to
I
agree
don't
with
know
you.
what
this
he did.
that was
story.
weird.
They're
I don't know if
never
I
gonna
agree
do
with
this
you.
again.
No, I don't think I agree.
Damien, what's your prediction?
Dick Walford, the director at E.L.F. Beauty, steps down from E.L.F. board because doesn't he almost have to? I mean,
I think he does.
he's going to step down this year, and it's not much of a prediction. He's already
No.
he's 79 years old, I think, right?
He doesn't have to. I think actually the prediction is Dick Walford changes his name
To what?
To not Dick. Whatever
To his middle name.
whatever his middle name is, with something else.
No, I think the prediction
Vicky.
is that he has not seen this campaign.
Yeah, maybe he didn't.
Yeah, well,
actually,
he is
that
old.
might be
Yeah,
true.
that's possible.
All right, here's my prediction. Dave Calhoun is reelected to the board as a boomerang in 2025 to oversee the new lady CEO they inevitably set up to fail.
That's
not
a
out of-
jaded
Matt,
prediction.
that's not out of the question to me, Matt. Because
I think
again,
he retires and
he's
they
leaving
reelect
on
him
his
to
own.
the board.
He's leaving on his own volition. So it wouldn't surprise me if the pick fails, if their succession plan fails.
He's got $45 million at stake. He's definitely going to want to be there to make sure he gets that. All right, that's all we got. That's Hazelnut Rollis.
That's
and Ari the
all.
Daily
What are you talking
Queen.
about? That's a lot.
I am your analyst, Matt Moscardi. I'm exhausted. I'm going to go home and take a nap. Like, today exhausted me. We are Free Float. If you didn't catch our shows this week, we had one on Tuesday where we talked about the Too Many Dicks campaign. We had Proxy Countdown yesterday where we gave proxy recommendations for the upcoming AGMs at Exxon, Chevron, and Shell, along with the entire oil and gas sector, and rolled out knowledge maps, which is
Yes.
something that nobody
Super
else
cool.
has
Super
about
cool.
directors. So ask us about those. Otherwise, we'll be back next week. Until then, goodbye.